look at these prizes. But that is all for another day. Today we need to be talking about Frank and Gustavo, and it looks like we are ready to go. There's the fist bump, and we are off with our Masters final for the European International Championships 2022.
Gustavo kicking things off and not too pleased about starting with his Rapid Strike Urshifu V. He does get an energy drop and just a pass. The crowd already acknowledging that that is not what he was looking for here.
Oh, and a head.
Straight away, Frank gets a heads-on Crushing Hammer to remove Gustavo's only action of the turn. And looks like Frank also doesn't have much going on. He's going to be hitting for 10 with Bidoof.
Oh, that is not ideal. And Gustavo here really just, is it an energy? Does he need some kind of damage modification?
Oh, Bidoof has 70 remaining hit points, and I believe Gustavo does not play anything like Galarian Zigzagoon, so I believe Frank is safe for at least one turn here, and Avery has finally given Gustavo a level ball, and he is going to grab himself a Sobble to actually begin his game plan. You can see, despite having such an awkward start, Gustavo is still icy veins. He is now back to prize checking. He's back to his normal thing.
And this is why, you know, there are exceptions like Sobble, because if you've got that brilliant keep calling attack, generally speaking, we go for 70 HP basics, not 60. This is why. If that Bidoof had 60 HP, Gustavo could have just used Strafe with weakness, get the KO, job's a good one, wins a game, go to game 2. Can still do a lot of damage, can get Bidoof very close to being KO'd, but can't take the KO, but has put the energy on that Urshifu, so...
Seems like a Strafe to me, the 60 damage, and let's see if Frank can draw out of this, only having a Crushing Hammer. It's a Psychic Energy.
That's not good.
I don't think Frank... okay, so we see the big barrel here. Can he draw any cards? Maybe just one. If he attaches a Psychic Energy, that feels terrible. If he flips heads, he can actually KO a Sobble.
Nobody
Oh, it's a boss's orders. Okay, so he's trying to protect the big barrel from being KO'd just via a Gale Thrust, and it also allows him to draw an additional card thanks to playing out that boss's orders, and a huge sigh of relief. We are seeing a Fog Crystal come down for Frank here. The Industrious Incisors, I should say, really bailing out Frank here. I think we may still be seeing a Tail Smash this turn, though.
We might, but unfortunately the Bibarel will be KO'd because another Strafe will do 60 and put Bibarel up to 120. There's a run, but he's already played a supporter.
Card. Yeah, we're all good. Everyone's aware of that. Frank is just holding off, and looks like it could be the coin flip coming in here. I haven't seen a Tail Smash on stream before, so this could be a first for me.
Yeah! 100 damage with
What
Bibarel.
a crazy attacker. This is not Frank's main attacker. But there you go, 100 damage, and the crowd are loving to see this.
The crowd are absolutely... We've got a crowd here. They are making a lot of noise. It is fantastic. And we're kind of out on the floor. We're not stuck backstage, so we can hear all the reactions of the crowd. And it is making it quite a bit more pleasant.
Gustavo is holding on to his Rapid Strike Energy and his Rapid Strike Urshifu V Max, so he could easily take a knockout on the active whilst also putting up some prep damage on the Whimsicott V. You have to think that's decent pressure because, as we know, Frank's only means of sort of retaining energy is via experience share, and that's not currently available. So we are going to see the Drizzle coming in via the Evolution Incense. That's going to grab Sonya for Gustavo, and straight away he's going to be picking up a backup Sobble as well as his Galarian Moltres V, and that's going to be helping him get set up that little bit more, and he can be taking out Frank's only sort of engine Pokemon this turn very easily. That's already secured, as we know, but he could also get some prep damage on the only other Pokemon in play. Yeah,
that's going to be a nice one. There was just, you might have seen Gustavo alter the damage on that Urshifu. That was because, of course, that double turbo energy meant that Bibarel only did 80, not 100.
Yeah, I think we're still at 90 damage. That should be down to the 80, right? Oh, no, there was the 10 from the damage from the Bidoof, exactly.
So just in case anybody saw that and thought things were going wrong, now what we do see here is that G-Max Rapid Flow. So we do see the KO on the Bibarel. Gustavo takes his first prize. And like you said, that prep damage on the Whimsicott, which can be so important. Frank has very little here. We've got a Whimsicott V-Star, but one energy...
And we know he has the Marnie at the very least because he tried to play it last time. So at least he's got some playables here, and he's going to see a fresh 5 cards whilst also trying to force Gustavo into less cards on his own end. Sometimes we have seen on stream this weekend that it can be a little bit awkward to move Urshifu VMAX in and out of the active position. And Frank also has picked up a Crushing Hammer. That's not going to be too helpful right now because Dire Flame Wings is covering quite nicely. We're going to see a Quick Ball getting rid of a 1 copy of Peony, and that's another big sigh of relief for Frank as he's going to be able to develop up another Pokemon here.
Yeah, and this is really, really important. I mean, what you really want here, well, there's actually quite a lot you want. Now, there was, if I remember correctly, there was a Bibarel in the prizes. So I don't believe Frank actually has access. He's playing a 3-2 line, but the Bibarel, one is in a discard, one is in the prizes. So that's no longer an option for Frank at the moment. So assuming he knows that, what you're really looking for here is a Whimsicott and an EXP share.
That would be huge.
Because the V-Star is almost certainly going to go down. But if you can get that energy back onto the bench Whimsicott, then maybe you can start getting an attack. Here is a Crushing Hammer.
Interesting. So playing the Crushing Hammer, even though there is a Dire Flame Wings option just to recover it, I think he's just concerned just in case there's any like energy switch shenanigan plays that Gustavo can pull out the gate and get some crazy attacks off. Maybe try and put the Moltres off of being able to attack next turn. Does get Tails regardless though, so he's just going to pass over. Frank did have the Fluff Ball start option if he wanted to KO a Sobble, for example, but he didn't go down that route, simply passed, and let's see what Gustavo can do. Probably going to be a lot, seeing as though he's kicking off his turn with his Shady Dealings Inteleon. One of the key cornerstones of this archetype is allowing you to go ahead and access 2 of any card that you'd like. In this case, Gustavo is going to get a Scoop Up Net and a Tower of Waters. That's going to allow Gustavo to retreat his Urshifu VMAX and also pick back up the Inteleon that he's just put into play to get another dip on Shady Dealings.
Absolutely. It is only trainer cards Inteleon can grab, but most of the time that is all you need. And we see a Piers coming down here, and we get a Darkness Pokemon, that's your Crobat, and we get a Special Energy, that is your Rapid Strike Energy. So Gustavo here, you know, really establishing his board quite nicely. He's got that Moltres on the board, which is getting that energy. Does seem like we are seeing a retreat with Tower of Waters and a Scoop Up Net, so now absolutely can do that 150 damage with just a single energy.
And not happy with just that, he can get another Shady Dealing down if he wishes. I'm not really sure what he's going to be setting up for here. He could be looking for things on a future turn because he's already got that energy from the Piers, one of his key cards that we've been seeing him use very effectively all weekend to grab that Rapid Strike energy. It's always great to be able to use these cards before the Trick Wind lock is initiated, and Gustavo's going to go ahead and grab a Quick Ball from his Shady Dealing Drizzile here. He's going to discard a Darkness Energy, which means he gets a free Dire Flame Wings as well as being able to attach for turn and get an extra Sobble down. So he's had a fantastic turn here, keeping the pressure on Frank, who won't be launching another attack again next turn. This is really rough.
Yeah, this is incredibly good. We've got a good attack coming in here. We've got a nice board being set up. We've got that Dire Flame Wings potentially.
Look at this Crobat as well. Wow.
We do see the
more cards coming in here, making sure that Gustavo isn't missing a beat on future turns. It looks like he was able to pick up another Drizzile. We're seeing that Dire Flame Wings, so everything prepped very nicely for Gustavo. A great turn with a ton of options for the next one also, and he's continuing to keep up in this prize race.
Yeah, absolutely. Going up 3 prizes to 0, and like you said, there's no attack from Frank here. Sure, you can put the energy on there, but that's not enough. Oh, double Turbo Energy gets discarded with Professor's Research. Not ideal. Does hit the Fan of Waves to get rid of that Rapid Strike Energy, and a Path to the Peak, and a V-Star. Not too bad at all, but really needs to wait till next turn, have another energy, and this looks like one of those games where it might be just getting away from Frank.
Yeah, it's a pretty good 7 cards that he's seen, in all honesty, and he's also going to be able to Quick Ball by the looks of things and get potentially even another Whimsicott out. But every time Gustavo is just having, Frank is having to just leave a Whimsicott to get hit, which is always a little bit awkward because it means that he's not able to sit around and get the Trick Wind initiated and keep it locked up. He's not been able to retain his energies well enough, and that is one of the only weak points of Frank's deck that we've seen on stream.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as Frank's deck gets rolling, I mean, we haven't seen it get rolling and lose. As soon as it gets rolling, it tends to win, but it's these early turns. It's missing energy attachments. It's having key Pokemon KO'd before Frank's had enough time to get the energy on. This is what can slow down his deck. And it's awkward because he's come so close. He got that Bibarel established. He's had a couple of Whimsicott out. He's got Path to the Peak. He has, however, put a Path to the Peak down. It looks like he's searching for that Crobat. But Path to the Peak's not going to let Crobat do its thing.
Yeah, that's a little bit awkward. His own stadium card making the Crobat slightly worse. So he's just going to think twice and grab at that next Whimsicott V. Another downside of the Crobat, obviously not very useful right now, but it would also be even easier prizes for Gustavo. So even if there weren't a Path to the Peak in play, I doubt he would have been using that Crobat very effectively. It was actually an Ultra Ball that was able to find this Whimsicott V here. But simply a pass from Frank, and let's see what Gustavo can piece together. He has attacking options now with his Moltres with a single attachment, or he could once again try and do a sort of dance from the bench to the active position once again with this Urshifu VMAX.
Absolutely. Now, we do see the intel coming down for Shady Dealing. Speaking of dancing, we've got Escape Rope, and that Fossil Energy search there is going to get any basic energy you like. Probably going to be a Darkness Energy. In fact, it could be anything for Moltres, but...
Look at this. The Escape Rope allows a one-hit KO on the benched Whimsicott, so it's almost the power of a boss's orders. When Frank only has one bench Pokemon, it forces the only option into the active, and now we are going to see this Galarian Moltres V putting on the pressure and even more Shady Dealings to come.
Absolutely. And this is one of my favorite things about Escape Rope. If you can find your opponent with just one bench Pokemon, it is basically a switch plus a boss's orders. Sure, your opponent gets to choose which Pokemon goes active from Escape Rope, but if there's only one on the bench, there's no choice to be made. And here, I think you're right. On the one hand, yes, getting a KO on the active would be big, but it would at least allow Frank to attack next turn. Might be far too late, but we would see an attack.
Yeah, I think Gustavo is just really well set in terms of the prize race. I think if you just take out this Whimsicott V in a one-hit KO fashion, you can easily find a way to two-hit KO through the lone Whimsicott, and Frank won't even be able to like bench anything else for the remainder of the game because Gustavo would be sat at just one prize card remaining. It would be one Whimsicott V-Star against the world. And I don't think that's going to be all that effective. So Gustavo even going to pick up a boss's orders to the hand. I'm not too sure about this one. I would have liked possibly to have seen like a Clara come to his hand unless it was already in there, because you can easily just go for this Galarian Moltres V attack and then just have the backup of the baby Galarian Moltres, the one prizer for a future turn. But regardless, Gustavo's keeping his options open. I think he's spoiled for choice, really, because he still has that Inteleon for hand. And we are just going to be seeing a KO here with Aura Burn, and that's going to put Gustavo just one prize away in this final match, this first match, I should say.
Absolutely. 30 damage to itself is pretty much inconsequential when you're taking two prizes. Gustavo goes down to one prize remaining, and I think this is the point where it's almost over this first game. It's hard to see how Frank is going to come back from this.
Ooh, no energy. I'm pretty sure that's going to be wrapping it up.
We do see an ordinary rod.
Frank's going through the motions, and let's be fair, it was a 75-minute best of 3, so there's no reason for Frank not to play it out and just see what happens. But I don't think he has a way to attack again this turn.
No, and if with no attack, Gustavo is just going to be able to attack. Like you say, it's going to be a two-hit KO, not a one-hit KO, but Frank needs to take 6 prizes at this stage, and trying to do that before you've been KO'd by Gustavo, it's pretty much impossible at this stage. You've got the Galarian Moltres V. There is a Rapid Strike Urshifu V Max on the bench, which can come in and do 150 damage. There's a possibility of playing the Galarian Moltres a single prizer. So at this stage, it's looking like too tough a road for Frank.
And I think he agrees. I think it's going to be a concession. That's going to be our first game confirmation there.
There we go.
Yeah,
actually, that did become sneaky.
True.
You know, that was a sneaky downside. Oh, and Frank again. Oof. You know, starting with Crobat. There's one Crobat. You've got 4 Whimsicott V, 3 Bidoof, 1 Crobat. Crobat is the only Pokemon you don't really want to start with.
No, but at the very least, we do see a quick ball now, so there will be a turn 1 Whimsicott V, so it's a slightly better start than in that first game, especially if it can come alongside an energy drop. And as bad as it feels for Frank to lead out with that Crobat, it does limit his options a little bit. As we know, it's going to be a little while until we start seeing some Urshifu, thanks to Gustavo's prizes.
No, absolutely, and that hopefully means that Frank can, you know, get established. And look, he's got a Whimsicott V down with an energy. You would like a Bidoof to try and evolve to get that draw engine going, but he got what he needed. Now, Gustavo here...
Oh, he already had all the Sobbles. That's going to make the Keep Calling far less effective.
Yeah, he's got the energy for Keep Calling, but he had 2 Sobbles already in hand. Can fill up his bench of Rapid Strike Pokemon, but there's 1 Sobble and no Urshifu in the deck. So this Keep Calling is... Well, I mean, Gustavo didn't know it. We did. Gustavo is going to keep calling for a single Sobble. That is not great value.
Not immense value at all. The good news is he's able to commit a Rapid Strike energy. Good to get these out of your hand and deck as quickly as possible, especially against Frank's list, which is trying to deny the use of these special energy cards. So it's a good first turn. Normally, Keep Calling is the game plan for Gustavo. It just so happened that he naturally drew a ton of these Sobble, as we do see Frank get the V-Star, but just a basic energy attachment. So there won't be an attack launch this turn unless he chooses to go for a Fluffball Star. And we are also going to see the discard of the experience share here to get an Bidoof established.
I like this, but Frank is only playing 2 experience share, and they can be so crucial in that mid to late game to try and make sure you've got multiple Whimsicott getting ready to go. So that could, it's fine now, but as the game wears on, that could end up being somewhat disadvantageous for Frank. But we've got the Bidoof. Oh, this is quite nice. We've got an air balloon to go on the Crobat. So if Frank wants to get a KO on one of those Sobble with Fluffball Star, he can.
And Frank flashed it. That's his only card in hand, and now he's given Gustavo that free information and then passes. I really wouldn't have liked to have seen him flash the air balloon. You make the decision in your head. You don't have to give Gustavo that additional information, because that could really inform Gustavo's choices here with the level ball for Shady Dealings.
Absolutely, and you know, Gustavo isn't playing anything like Judge or Marnie that would really come in here, but you're absolutely right. Knowing that your opponent is in full top deck mode can absolutely give you more information. Oftentimes it means that players know they can take a little bit more time, they can play a little bit more conservatively. You don't have to rush if your opponent's in top deck mode.
Man, Frank has found himself into an awkward hand once again. Gustavo does find Quick Ball and Darkness Energy, and also another Darkness, so this is going to be great for him. He can go ahead and establish that Moltres V, get a Dire Flame Wings and a turn attachment. That's going to be great pressure for Gustavo. It's exactly what we mentioned earlier before the game. This has to be his early game route, especially when there is no Urshifu V in sight.
Absolutely, and here it's going to be ready to go next turn, taking big KOs. I mean, Frank is basically one turn away from Gustavo starting to KO these 2-prize Pokemon like Crobat. So, you know, Frank is in top deck mode, and it's really important. Obviously, a Burrow would be amazing, but even if Frank top decks an Ultra Ball, he's not going to have 2 cards to discard with the Ultra Ball to search it out. And, you know, Fog Crystal can't get it, Quick Ball can't get it, so this is looking quite dodgy. It's kind of top deck a supporter or top deck an energy and hope that attacking, you know, is good to start with.
Yeah, Evolution Incense or the Barrel would also be a fantastic
That would be awesome.
And we're actually going to be seeing a double spin from the Sobble, and it's going to be just the 20 damage, I believe, with 1 head flip there. It's not completely irrelevant, but it's not great. And huge from Frank! Picks up the money. He's back in the game, literally rubbed his hands as he did that, giving it the let's go. He's happy to see it, no doubt. And he's going to get himself 5 fresh cards here. Still no energy drop for him. And I don't think he has a means to barrel either, so he can't attack once again this turn. So although it's a fantastic bailout, the money itself wasn't fantastic.
Does have a Professor's Research for next turn, which is awesome. That's more draw. Frank is going to be able to get out of this, but you're giving Gustavo 1 more turn. The whole point of Frank's deck is get rolling. You know, you really want turn 2, 2 attachments, V-Star, off you go. Frank's passing without attacking. Gustavo is not going to pass without attacking.
I would have liked to have seen a Fluffball Star, I think, on the Moltres V. Just try and get some prep damage onto it. Makes a lot of sense for me. I know it's good to sort of hold off so you can get a 1-hit KO option on the Urshifu VMAX, but I think Gustavo's only threat on board is going to be this Moltres. You know that Gustavo is going to be the one trying to put the pressure on as quickly as possible here, and I would have liked to have seen Frank take the initiative there. Instead, it's going to be Gustavo who picks up the Scoop Up Net and Boss's Orders combination that he's just eyeing up here. He has Scoop Up Net for his Shady Dealings in Teleon and continue to go ahead and use more dealings here, as he is going to go ahead and pick that up. With the Scoop Up Net, he has a Pay Retreat option with his Sobble, and we are going to see another deal here. So no doubt I think Gustavo is going to try and target down the Whimsicott V-Star that has a couple energy attached, and again, force Frank in that awkward position where he just has to keep up with attachments, but Gustavo is going to try and race him.
Absolutely. That Crobat is going to be there to be KO'd later on in the game. That's not terribly important. Some players this weekend have played the Crobat V Max. Frank is not doing so. The issue here is Whimsicott. If Gustavo can take down this Whimsicott, there is no Whimsicott V on the bench, which means that if Gustavo gets a hit in here, Frank basically has to get a Whimsicott V and an experience share next turn in order to keep this stream of Whimsicott going, or else Gustavo is just going to be able to run Frank out of Whimsicott.
And absolutely, we are going to see that payment of retreat with the Rapid Strike energy, and up comes the Whimsicott V-Star, and once again, the Galarian Moltres is going to throw that Aura Burn at Frank. It won't be enough to get a KO, but certainly enough to set up some damage here. 190, just putting it very much in range for another attack.
There comes another Bidoof down onto Frank's side of the board. And we see a Marnie here. I believe there was a Professor's Research, but choosing to go for the Marnie because it gets you more cards, but it also disrupts Gustavo's hand, and that's pretty gosh darned important. Trying to make sure Gustavo doesn't have very much. The numbers here for Frank it's not working as much as you might like. He can do 160. Interestingly enough, were he playing Choice Bout, this would actually be able to get a key KO. Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Even a Fluffball Star would be 10 damage short, unless he gets a double turbo energy, in which case I think he would be able to do it. Yes, he would.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think I saw it in the Marnie, just another Fog Crystal and a basic Psychic. So he may just have to go for a Trick Wind here. Again, not enough. Oh, but it is going to be the Fluffball Star for 180 damage. Just a debate from Frank here. He's just thinking it through. Of course, not knocking out the Moltres, but keeping it in range is sometimes okay, because the Moltres could be knocking itself out with its own Aura Burn. But it is just going to be the Trick Wind, I think, and we're holding off on the V-Star power.
Yeah, and I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's sitting there now at 190, I believe, so it will actually be KO'd by its own attack. If it attacks, it will go down next turn. So, and because these V-Star are 2-prize Pokemon, unlike the V-Max, it will actually be trading 2 prizes for 2 prizes. So if Gustavo attacks, it's kind of even, but Frank doesn't have a backup Whimsicott, so it is still absolutely worth it for Gustavo to take this KO, even sacrificing his own Moltres.
Yeah, I think at that point you just sort of let your 1-prize Moltres get more and more powerful, so I don't think Gustavo's necessarily that concerned, especially because Frank won't really be able to capitalize on Gustavo's own Pokemon being knocked out on his turn, because he won't be able to launch much of an attack outside of a Fluffball Star. So I think it's something that you kind of take as Gustavo, try and accelerate this prize race to allow your only other remaining attacker in deck, your Galarian Moltres, to be more powerful, as we are going to see the Shady Dealing for the Sonya straight away. So it looks like Gustavo is setting up to get some basic energy in his hand, so he can do some malevolent charging, I think.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the call here. I think that's a good shout. We see a fighting and a darkness energy coming in here. And it's really just about making sure that there are backup attackers. And actually, like you say, yes, he would be KOing his own Pokemon, but that means that his other Pokemon, his Galarian Moltres, a single prizer, will be hitting 120. It's not bad.
Yeah, and it can certainly put some pressure on. I would like to see them malevolent charge in the turn attachment here. It would put you 1 turn attachment away from making the Moltres useful. The other alternative is that you actually use a Crobat V and attack with that, and it also gets you a few additional cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Crobat V, always a nice option. Lets you draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand with that Dark Acid ability.
Hello, Venomous Fang. We are going to see the double KO. It's a rare sight. The Aura Burn damages Gustavo's own Galarian Moltres V. Just a quick judge wording here to see who takes the prize cards first. Frank is able to see the prize cards before choosing which Pokemon to promote, I believe here, which is good news for Frank. And he always was going to go into this Crobat because it was an air balloon pivot regardless, but Frank has to choose which active Pokemon before Gustavo, and it is going to be the Drizzile selection from Gustavo, and Frank now is going to be able to draw for the turn, and let's see what he can do. He finally is able to establish a Bibarel, and we see a second Whimsicott coming down now. And I imagine Frank is going to be looking for some more attachments. That's the thing he's been hungry for all series, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the story coming into the game, and it's been the story of the game. Can you just stack Whimsicott? Can you get Whimsicott with the energy? Those experience share have done absolutely nothing in this series. They have not come to help. Now, we do see...
Interesting. Getting rid of 3 supporter cards with his Peony. Getting rid of Avery... 2 Avery, I think it is, and the Professor's Research, just to guarantee attachment. It's a great luxury to have when you have that Bibarel to fall back on, that you say, you know what, let me guarantee these things. I've been so stressed out about missing them from my Marnies. Let's just go ahead and get my Evolution Incense, get my Fog Crystal, and then top my hand up for a fresh 5 straight afterwards. It's like hitting a Professor's Research, and you know that you hit the exact 2 cards you want and keep a 5-card hand anyway. So it does seem to be the strongest route here, even though it denies Frank the option of using an Avery later down the line.
Yeah, that combination of Peony and Bibarel is so good. Discarding your hand is a very bad thing. Searching for 2 trainer cards is good, but then you've still got to think, well, what else do I do? Well, you Industrious Incisors. You draw till you've got 5 cards in your hand. And like you say, you gave away a couple of Avery and a Professor's Research, but all they were going to do was get you cards.
Yeah.
Except maybe Avery. But here, you've got what you need. You've got the attachment. Here is your Industrious Incisors. Draw until you've got 5 cards in your hand. And now we're starting to piece something together. The Ordinary Rod comes down, recovering some energy, recovering some Pokemon. What we need is just a turn, just 1 turn of grace, where Frank can just breathe and then next turn, Whimsicott can start doing Whimsicott things.
Yeah, we're going to see the V-Star get shuffled straight back into the deck for Frank to search out if he wishes here with the Evolution Incense. The other big barrel is in those prize cards once again, so Frank is going to go ahead and establish that next V-Star to the hand. I believe this Whimsicott came down this turn. So we should be all good here. But Frank again has the option of a Fluffball Star. Is the 60 damage worth it just for a sneaky prize card or not?
I mean, it could be. It depends what Frank thinks is Tails on Crushing Hammer.
It's a pretty big Crushing Hammer,
yeah,
actually.
that would have been the heads you wanted.
Yeah, because Gustavo would have had to have attached. And we are going to see the Fluffball Star for tempo from Frank. And I actually really like this choice. It denies a lot of outs from Gustavo and makes the scoop-up net plays even worse for Gustavo as well, because sometimes you can do that Shady Dealing, pick it up, get another fresh Shady Dealing with the Drizzle as well. So it is a little bit disruptive, and Gustavo may have to piece together, for example, a Boss's Orders play on the Bidoof to score a knockout with Crobat this turn, or he's going to have to look for an alternative avenue.
Yeah, he does have that Shady Dealings Inteleon grabbing any 2 cards. We see a Pal Pad coming down. So I believe we saw the Boss's Orders already, so we do need to see it Pal Padded back in.
Absolutely.
And then we're also going to see an energy retrieval, getting those 2 energy from the discard, or are we going to change our mind? Searching's fine. It's when you shuffle. Shuffling ends the search. So as long as you don't shuffle your deck, you can change your mind, you can have a bit of a think. Now he started shuffling. It's too late. Locked into those cards.
Yeah, but 2 pretty good ones, I'd say. And I think you're right. I think he's going to try and establish that Pal Pad. He could easily come in with a Malevolent Charge this turn as well, thanks to that energy retrieval. It's been a big one-off for Gustavo, and another reason why his deck list is slightly different from some of the other Urshifus we've seen throughout the weekend. Just because it's in an item form, it really allows this Moltres to be even more versatile, as we are going to see the Choice Belt as well as the Darkness Energy. It's a great time to draw the Choice Belt, because you may not be able to attach it throughout the remainder of the game once there's a Trick Wind lock in place. And we are going to see the Pal Pad now restoring a couple of those key supporter cards for Gustavo. We are going to see probably a Scoop Up Net once again here. And we're actually going to see the Venomous Fang. And it's going to set up the Whimsicott actually quite nicely here.
Yeah, it's a sneaky nice attack. You know, Crobat is played for that Dark Asset ability. Drawing cards, it was a staple in every deck before we moved on to these newer engines. Now, though, Venomous Fang, 70 damage, 100 with the Choice Belt, plus you add in a little bit of poison. It starts stacking a bit of damage. It also says to Frank, hey, if you don't move out that active spot, you're taking 10 damage between turns with that poison. After your turn, you take 10. After my turn, you take 10. That starts to add up pretty quickly. So this Crobat is a sneaky good attacker, and Gustavo doesn't want to use Urshifu much, and even if he did, they're in the prizes.
Gustavo's hand is absolutely massive. I think Gustavo was just checking Frank's discard pile there to see how many Marnie had been played, because I think he's really sat on a monster and had the option to Malevolent Charge this turn. We saw him get the energy retrieval, chose not to put a Moltres down, because then Frank opens up the door for a Boss's Orders to just knock it out for 1 prize and put him only 2 prizes remaining from winning, as we are going to see the double turbo energy attached and then an Industrious Incisors here from Frank. Does, I believe, get him into a supporter. And he's just going to be checking here, and it is going to be a huge Marnie. Ooh, Gustavo's hand was crazy. It had the Moltres, it had the energy retrieval ready to rumble here. But now Frank's going to be disrupting that in a massive way.
And we did not see hands like that a couple of months ago. When everyone was playing Marnie, you could not build up those hands. But with Marnie and Judge seeing so much less play at the moment, we do see an EXP share coming down on that Whimsicott V-Star. That is absolutely huge. We see a path to the peak, and we finally see Whimsicott doing Whimsicott things.
Yeah, this is the attack Trick Wind, and it's actually what Frank's deck is completely built around. And we've finally seen it in this game too. It does deny Gustavo from attaching tool cards as well as special energy. I think Gustavo is pretty much attached his only tool and won't be looking to attach Rapid Strike energy because he still has those Urshifu in his prizes. So the text of Trick Wind not being as relevant as in some other cases here. But let's see how Gustavo manages off of the Marnie. He's got straight back into a Sword and Shield Inteleon to start piecing together some big turns. He can once again work towards getting a Galarian Moltres and simply retreat out of this Crobat.
No, absolutely. This is, you got to do what you got to do here. This Crobat is a decent attacker. It's not perfect. The Whimsicott is finally online. It's a shame that Marnie came down for Gustavo because he really was working on a lot, and Frank's taken 3 prizes now, so it's now at the stage where that Galarian Moltres would actually start doing a fair amount of damage. 170 straight off the bat, 50 for each prize card taken, plus the 20 base. We do see a boss's orders coming down here now, though, so...
Ooh, rethinking about it, just having a little debate here, what is going to be his best selection. And it is going to be the boss's orders. It's an interesting one because I think it's great to do a lot of damage onto this active and just allow Frank to take even more prize cards. But let's see if he's just holding it for another turn. Yeah, this was my suspicion, actually. The Clara is going to be his choice to get back the Darkness Energies, I think, is the most important piece here, as well as the Sobble. He's also going to grab the Galarian Moltres V2 hand. I don't think it's going to be coming down necessarily. Yeah, it's going to be the 1 prize Moltres option.
Ooh,
we are going to see the Fighting Energy get attached as well from that Energy Search earlier on in the turn. We're going to see the retreat of the Darkness Energy. Crobat has sponged some nice damage there. And we will see the 2-hit KO via the Fiery Wrath, and Gustavo filling his board even more so with Sobble. Can safely do this now that he's seen 2 Avery hit the discard pile. And Gustavo's going to put himself 2 prize cards away and still has a lot of options in hand here. Going to continue to thin with the Quick Ball. He's just picked up that Moltres from the Clara, but he's going to put it straight back into the discard pile with Quick Ball. Going to go ahead and just grab a Snorlax out of his deck so he can't get Marnied into it. That Snorlax does need to go into his hand. But the good news is it's going to be a KO, and it does mean that the experience share is going to be live. So Frank can actually chain his attackers here. We do need to see that Snorlax go into Gustavo's hand. It's actually pretty relevant here. It should be a piece for him. So hopefully we can catch that as Frank is continuing with his turn. I don't think it's changing much as the turn continues, but it's certainly something that we're going to have to get checked here and make sure that Gustavo has access to that Snorlax. We do see a Crushing Hammer coming in, is going to discard a Darkness Energy. It's simply so that Frank can draw additional cards with his Industrious Incisors here. I don't see a double Turbo Energy in Frank's hand. Does he have any draw supporter options here? I think he might just be clogged, you know. I think he has some Fan of Waves, which are unusable right now. I think he has another Stadium card. His hand is looking really rough.
No, it's not looking good at all. We do see the retreat with the air balloon on that Crobat, but Doof goes into the active. And this is really bad for Frank. This is game 2. He's down 1 game. If Gustavo wins, he is the international champion. We needed a double Turbo Energy that turn, so Whimsicott could keep attacking. We finally saw Experience Share do its thing, and actually, in the end, it wasn't enough. Now, we could see, is there a choice bout available here? No, but there is a Crobat, and Gustavo Wada is your European international champion.